Hey Puzzle Buddies, it's Bree and we're back for another puzzle. This one is Melded Blooms. It comes from Mintyfizz and I got this through completing the puzzle. It's 500 pieces and when it's done it is 27.5 by 20 inches. As you saw, at first I was like picking pieces out individually from the bag and then sorting them, but then I decided to dump them all out and actually finally do a full flip. Now I wasn't speed puzzling this. I just wanted to do this like casually, take my time, but you know, I was already here so I figured why not. I did a full flip without really doing any sorting, just purely flipping the pieces over, but I did pull out the edges. This is my first time doing this sort of puzzle. I have done one gradient before with, you know, that dreaded marbles puzzle, but this one's not quite a gradient, it's more of like an abstract painting, so I was excited to try something new. Now, there's a bit of a delay between when I record versus when I upload videos, so I haven't had a chance to actually talk about this, but that Yzma video that I posted a few weeks ago, it has over 4,000 views at the moment. And the Saturday before I posted that video, I had 12 subscribers. And as I'm recording this, we have 164. So I'm so grateful to all of you. Welcome to the club. So happy you're here. I assembled the border and then I tried to pick out all the pieces I could see that had hot pink in them. It's funny, I'm recording this right after the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship, and in one of the live streams, someone had actually asked in the chat what colors in the puzzle we tend to do first. And I remember saying that I typically go for pinks and purples, and here I am literally doing just that. So after I put a bit of the pinks together, I went for those desaturated, like almost white looking pieces, because I knew that there was only a few of those. And then after the pink and those paler pieces, I tried to work on the purples. And then I did a bit of like those reddish oranges around the desaturated section that I had already started. Did you guys watch the World Championship this year? This was my first time watching, and it was great. Honestly, it was so fun. The live streams had great commentators. They even brought on like guests every once in a while to talk about what was going on. It was so fun to be listening to the commentators and watching everything play out and chatting in the chat. It was a great time. If you didn't get to catch it live this year, you can go back and rewatch it. I believe all the videos are up on the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship YouTube page. But I would definitely suggest marking it on your calendar for next year because it was intense. Apparently this year's Worlds had like twice as many competitors as it did last year. There had to be so many different like divisions of qualifying rounds leading up to the finals for each one. There was individual competition, there was competition for the pairs, and then for teams. There were a lot of people, especially in the live chats, that were rooting for Karen Puzzles because, I mean, she has brought so much attention to puzzling and speed puzzling, so it was really cool to see so many people rooting for her. And it was just so cool, one, to see so many people who love puzzling and who like take it seriously. There were people who are like very much like competing to compete, and then there's some people you could tell were just kind of there just to have fun. Either way, it was nice to watch. I tried the blue section next. I was a little slow on this part because a good chunk of it is actually pretty dark, and there was some green mixed in as well. And then there were so many like new puzzlers that were competing this year that there were even some upsets. If you're unfamiliar, there's this man named Alejandro who's from Spain. And I believe he placed first place in the individual rounds for the last 2 years, so 2023 and 2022. And this year, don't get me wrong, he was still super fast, he was still amazing, but there were some people that were beating him in a couple of the rounds, so it was just really interesting to see who was coming up on top, who people were rooting for. There were like some surprise people, surprise teams that were doing really well, or much better than people would have anticipated, so it was a fun watch. And then once I had finished that darker section, I got tired of looking at the blues, so I tried the yellows next. I realized this as I was working on it, but there were very few pieces that were actually like just yellow. Most of the yellow section was like yellow with orange or yellow with green. And that definitely helped with putting this part together because I could follow like the lines of the other colors to make those connections. I worked on the yellows until I got stuck, and then I went to the greens. So I pulled all the green pieces out. And then the green section in the actual reference picture is pretty small technically. So once I got that disc complete, I knew that all the other green pieces that I had to come from like the other colors. So it had to be like the green that's mixed in with the blue or with the yellow. Once I was done with that main green section, I went to those like more yellowy oranges. Now, typically me leaning on the table is a good sign that I'm stressed and getting annoyed. But this time I was leaning on the table because I was just chilling. I was just taking my time and enjoying the puzzling experience. And I mean, I was truly enjoying this. I initially thought that this sort of image was going to be super difficult, but it really wasn't. There was just enough color gradients and lines and swirls so that you'd have enough information to determine like where the pieces go. And there weren't so many swirls and lines to where it was dizzying or impossible to tell where something goes. And the pieces were such fun shapes that it literally wasn't until around now that I realized that this puzzle really only has one piece shape. All the pieces, except for the edges, are only the standard like 2 in, 2 out pieces. But what I love and really appreciate about this puzzle is that the cut of the pieces is so slanted and sometimes just strange that I never felt like I was holding 2 of the same piece. I finished just about all of the reds, oranges, and yellow side of the puzzle. All that was left really was the blue section, but there was a lot of like orange and green that was mixed into it. The blues was definitely the hardest part for me, but I never was like annoyed or frustrated or irritated. And I must say, now I understand why literally every speed puzzler ever in the entire world says to do a full flip before you start the puzzle. Because my goodness, it made solving this so pleasant. It was so nice to be working on the puzzle and like identify what piece I want to look for, and then just be able to look to the side with all the upturned pieces and find what I needed. It was amazing. I literally cannot believe it took me this long to finally actually do a full flip. I thought seeing all the pieces at once all laid out would be like too distracting, but no, it made things like a lot easier. So yeah, I will for sure be doing full flips from now on. And based off of the footage that I got, after working on this for about 3.5 hours, I was done. If it wasn't obvious from how I've been talking about it, I absolutely loved this puzzle. The only negatives aren't even the puzzle's fault. I did have 2 tabs where the print had gotten ripped off of the pieces, and I mean, that just kind of comes with the puzzle being done. I mean, Lord only knows how many times it was done before me. The print of the image on the puzzle pieces was really good. Even those darker areas of the blue and the purple weren't so dark that you couldn't see the details. It was just challenging enough that you could enjoy doing it casually. And I mean, I just really had a lot of fun with this one. I actually posted a TikTok about how sad I was when I was like, wait, this isn't my puzzle, I have to send this back. I don't know, I might end up actually purchasing this one because I really, really liked it. So let me know, do you usually flip over all of your pieces when you're starting on a puzzle? And if you don't, I want you to give it a try and let me know if it's as good for you as it was for me. Make sure to let me know all your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.